Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, we are so excited. This is going to be freaking incredible. We're so excited to welcome everyone here. We're so excited for everybody who's on the replay. Me and Madison are going to be having a conversation with you guys today about leaping, about taking brave action, and go into a little bit of our backgrounds and our stories, because that is such an important part of what we did to be here today. I'm now 27. I just turned 27, but we both had our first $100,000 months at the age of 26, and it wasn't random. And we want to talk to you guys about what it really takes to create the reality that you guys desire, because it does take brave action. We're going to talk about our stories. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get into it, guys. The way that Christy and I met, I was scrolling on Facebook one day and I saw this girl, really cute, vibey girl, as you guys can see, post about how she had her first six-figure months at 26. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so, I guess it's becoming more and more common, but for so long, I was like the youngest in my space, and I'm sure Christy experienced the same thing. And so to see someone who's like at your level, at your timing in life, similar vibes, similar values, standing for similar things in business and spirituality, it was just really a breath of fresh air. And Christy and I, just to give you guys background, we have both never done a collaboration like this before.
Never.
And yeah, never, because it's never felt aligned. I could probably
Truly.
speak for both of us on that. Um, and this just felt really, really, really good. And so when we started talking, right, we got on a call and I had just to tell you like the realness of what happens behind collaborations and six-figure empires. I had just gotten out of, I think that was at like the post op, like I was at the gym.
You were at the gym.
Gym, and Christy calls and I'm like, hey, totally forgot about our call. Call you in 10. And she's like, okay, great, that's fine. And so we got on a call and we were on the phone for like an hour and we created the Leap program in literally 1 hour and 1 minute. I have the screenshot on my phone. And it was just so flowy, it was so vibey. And we found out very quickly the synchronicities that we had are like really, really important codes that we both wish that we had before we leapt,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 100,000%. We both, it was so funny because we created this based off of us just like talking about our lives. And it's crazy because when you really break it down, there are specific things and specific mindsets and specific subconscious reprogramming that we did to be here. And it like literally doesn't make sense for our age and what we went through. It doesn't make sense. And I think the leaps were why this happened. Like if we didn't leap, this wouldn't be our reality at all.
Mm-hmm. And so, Christy, if there's so much to say, I'm like, this is going to be epic, you guys. Like this conversation is going to be epic. It already has the vibes, but the Leap program is just going to be like I've never seen an activation like this in my time. Um, and it's just like if you're in that space right now where you're like, I want to leap. I feel this leap inside of me. I know what I need to do. Like I know what needs to be done, but I'm terrified and I'm scared, but I'm also excited to step into the unknown, to step into my power, to step into a spiritually led business. Like this is going to be the perfect conversation for you guys. So, Chrissy, do you want to go into your background and your story?
Yeah, I will totally go into my story. There's a lot of people here who probably know my story, but a lot of people who don't. So I basically did everything that society told me to do. I was working typical 9 to 5 jobs, and it was one of those things where I had gotten an associate's degree in business administration, and I was kind of just like over college. It was really, really hard to do college at the same time as like working full time and just being in a relationship and all of these things. And it was so draining. And I was like, okay, once I do this, I'll be happy. Okay, maybe that's not it. Once I do this, I'll be happy. Okay, maybe that's not it. Like I did got the job, got the relationship, all of the things, and I just wasn't, it wasn't aligned. And I was one of those people who I could never stay in a job more than a year or 2 years. And I know that sounds like, oh, Christy, maybe you should have done your job. But it was one of those things where I was so good at what I did that I just got so bored, or I would get in some sort of confrontation with my boss because I was moving so fast and they didn't like that. Right. And it was so hard for me because I wanted to excel and I wanted to do good. And it felt like everybody around me was like, hey, you can do good, but you need to stay small. Right. And I didn't like that. And I didn't want that. So I ended up going into a marketing position. And this job needed a bachelor's degree. And I had an associate's degree. And, that was part of that leaping energy, as I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this job anyway. And I did. Right. And I got it over tons of applicants who actually had the qualifications. And I was like, yes, I've made it. And before that point, my health really started deteriorating because I had left like a toxic family household and all of the things. And I was like in this space of like, okay, this marketing job is everything. This is like the place where I'm going to retire. And after a year, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I was working 7 to 5. I was so exhausted. I was drinking like four cups of coffee a day, taking a nap during my lunch breaks. I was just burnt out and exhausted. And I was like, I really need to leave. And I remember starting to sign up for business programs and all of the pieces. And I found leaders in the industry, and I was like, ooh, spirituality, that's something I've never heard of other than like the Christian indoctrination that I have been a part of. And then, oh, all of these pieces. And I was like, okay, learning, but it's still going to take me until I'm 65 years old. That's what I believed. Right. And so I remember having these moments where my soul was just so sad and so tired because I was working so hard to create a business. And I was also working this job. And I was like, what if I'm just burning myself out for nothing and nothing's ever going to work? And I'm just not the person who's meant for this. What if this is for other people instead? And so I kept doing it. I kept working towards it. And what happened is I eventually was able to leave my job, and it was so scary. I remember, like, I don't know if you guys know the Rebecca Campbell Oracle deck, it's like the light one. Well, I pulled a card because I was getting really scared. I was starting to make a lot of money in my business, but I still didn't feel safe to leave. And I was asking the cards, like, what's going on? And obviously when you ask the cards, you're asking your own intuition. And I don't think I told you this, Madison, but the card I pulled was Leap.
Yes.
And
Told me.
it
Then we were like, it's the leap.
messed me up. I was like, universe, no. And it still took me like 3 weeks to take action on it. I remember, like, oh my gosh, I was waking up with so much anxiety because I knew what the universe was calling me to, but I was so scared to do it. And I remember hitting my breaking point because I was literally talking to clients during my 15-minute break, and it was going longer. And I just remember going, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot balance these things. And I went into my boss's office and I started bawling. I was crying and I was holding her hands, and she was like, Christy, you're okay. We knew this was going to happen. And I was just like holding her hand, shaking, like, I don't know if I'm going to be okay.
Can I do this? Can I really do it? She's like, I don't know, just do, like, you're the one crying and telling you have to leave. Why don't you just go do it? Like, I don't know if I can.
She did not understand it. She's like, just go for it. And I was like, I don't know. And I was so scared of that change, but I hit a breaking point. And now I know I don't have to hit breaking points to take the brave action. But then I did it, and I really moved out of working in corporate America. I had those portals to work through where I accidentally created my own corporate within my business and continued to work 16-hour days, and had those portals, worked through improving my health, leaving a misaligned relationship to embody my human design deeper. It was just one of those processes where it was leap after leap after leap after leap. The universe kept calling me towards it. And one of the things that I really learned is that our desires are called through us because they're meant for us. And every single belief that I told myself of like, I'm not good enough for this, there's not room for me, I started too late, I'm not the person who can do this, other people can do this. Like I remember that version of me that believed that that was true, and it felt so real. And I had to work I had to work to create this version of me that believes that like anybody can do this, right? And it does take brave action because the universe calls that through you. When you ask for a lot, sometimes there's a lot of portals for you to walk through. So that's really my story, that's really my background. And now my health is, it is improving wildly. I'm in the most soul aligned relationship, and there's obviously still portals, but like version of me who saw me do this, like that version of me who was crying because she thought she was going to have to work till 65 to maybe survive, like she's crying right now. This, it doesn't even feel real, but then again it does, it feels more real than that. I was in a fog. So
So
that's
good. So, Christy, I want to like touch on something. You said you hit a breaking point and like talk because our friends, yeah, hi Tammy. So our friends on here, they're like either they're feeling like they're at that breaking point, like currently, like in it, or they've experienced it, like the little breaking points that we know of, like beep,
mm-hmm.
beep, beep, and they're kind of like building up this evidence of like, okay, 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 when's it gonna be like the final, right? So talk to them about like
Yeah.
what was your like, how did you know it was your final breaking point? I know how I knew what mine was, but
Totally. My final breaking point was just straight burnout. And it was like there was no other way I was going to survive. And now what I've really learned is that those small breaking points are the opportunity before the big one, where we can leap before we get to our complete breaking point where we're completely burnt out and there is no other choice. Like I was at the point where I was like, I either quit this job and hope that this works, or I end up homeless on the street, or I
it shouldn't be
stay.
that bad.
Yeah, right. Or I keep working 16-hour days and literally just die, right? That's how it felt. And I had so many moments up until that point. I didn't have to get there. I didn't have to get to that complete breaking point. And the universe was showing me like, oh my gosh, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. But my ego was really loud. I remember like I was still in relationship with my family at that point, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I just had a $7,000 month and I think I need to quit my job and I'm really scared. And she said, no, you need to hold out. You need to wait. And I was like, wait for what? And she scared me and I took that on, right? It didn't feel that there didn't feel like a moment where I was actually going to feel safe. And that's a huge part of the leap, is like that moment of knowingness that comes internally, that moment of breakdown and like complete, like I have to make this move. That's, even at that moment you're still scared, you know. And that's the huge piece around this code, around the leap.
Yeah. You're still scared and you still move. So, okay, so you had like external saying like, okay, no, like society, right? Like we all have, whether it's society, whether it's the media, whether it's your own internal family, whether it's your spouse,
Yeah.
okay? Like you had that presence of, but what if it's not safe out there? Be careful. What if it doesn't work out? You shouldn't move on yet because you don't have X amount in the bank or you don't have this set up for yourself. Like, where's your 401k?
Yeah.
All of these
Yeah.
things, right? And so one more I really want you to like sit into is the knowingness that you had. Like what like describe what that felt like for you.
So it was so deep. It was the knowingness, and the knowingness really came through the pain that I was feeling in my current reality,
Yeah.
you know. And that was the piece of me that was like, I know there's more. I don't know what that more looks like, but my soul wanted health, my soul wanted freedom. And I felt just, I could feel the dissonance in my soul every single day, showing up to a job and mirroring my boss to be safe. And that was so painful. And it was so, I felt the dissonance in my soul scraping the ice chunks off my car in Colorado at 5 a.m. to make it to work every day. I felt the dissonance of just like working till 5 p.m. when I'm a manifesting generator. I could get the work done in 3 hours, right? And it was just like that dissonance, then that contrast led to that knowingness of like, I don't even know what more looks like, but I know it's there for me. And for me, it was really the negative emotions that I was experiencing and just the pain that I was experiencing, where I knew that this was not meant to be my life. And I was either going to have to turn off those feelings and emotions and settle, which I couldn't do. I tried, or I was going to have to be brave.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's important to note here, guys, as you're listening to her story, she hit a 7K month before she leapt. Like, leaping doesn't need to be this thing where like you're in a hole and you're leaping to grasp onto like this 1,000,000% better world right away. Like, there is a transition in the leap, and that's okay. Like, I think one thing I don't want you guys to get from this conversation is that you have to like burn the bridges and freaking jump, because Christy and I probably both would not recommend that, although we may have done
No.
that ourselves. We may
Yeah.
not recommend that, right? And so knowing that like there is that transition, like Christy built up like a healthy base to where she knew and proved to herself that she could do this, that she had the confidence in herself that she could do this, and that evidence backed her knowingness that okay, it's time. Here we go.
Yeah.
So I really want you guys to sit with that and know like this doesn't need to be this scary thing, that you can actually manifest a really beautiful transition for yourselves that doesn't feel like the wheels are falling off the train.
Totally, totally, totally. And it's like, even in that space of having the all of the things happen, taking naps all day, being completely burnt out and exhausted, I
Mhm.
was I was taking the action that felt good, that felt aligned, but I wasn't just in the space of like burn the bridge, we're done, and go home and like take naps all day. It was the energy of like, I know where I'm going. And I was so deeply connected to the vision of freedom, the vision of health. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I was deeply connected to that. And that was the thing that kept me in the place of being able to walk both realities while knowing that this one was going to fade away. And I knew, but also my ego was like, this is permanent and you're going to stay here for forever. And I had to do the subconscious reprogramming to continue to believe in this until I could take safe action. And there was moments where I've taken brave action that made no sense, and everybody around me was like, you're gonna die, but I had practiced that at that point.
Yes. You had like over and over experience of I can
uh,
take a little leap and now I back myself. I take a little leap and now I back myself. Yeah, I think as you start to walk that, you start to build like little by little more and more evidence. And then it's like, okay, I'm ready for the big one.
yeah, 100%, and that's exactly how it played out.
Mm-hmm. So good. Okay,
Yes, tell
one
us about your story.
I'll share mine and then we'll go into like, okay, the aftermath.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally, totally. I'm so so
Okay.
so excited.
So Christy and I's stories are very much aligned, and you're probably going to hear a lot of synchronicities, which is why we're creating this program together. But my beginning started out a little bit different in the sense of when I graduated college in 2018, I knew that I knew that I knew that I didn't want to go into corporate. I had had jobs as an intern in corporate. I had experienced, I was a waitress, nanny, assistant. Like I had all the jobs. I had done internships. Like I had all these odds and end jobs. I was like a roller skate server at like Roll on America in Massachusetts. So I had enough experience to know that I didn't vibe with having a boss. And both of my parents were entrepreneurs my whole life. However, they were the blood, sweat, tears, grind till you die entrepreneur, right? Like my mom had a cleaning business that required a lot of her and her time. And I always heard her complaining about it or having struggles with it as I was growing up. My dad ran a construction business. And so I was constantly hearing him talk about his high maintenance clients. He had lawyers and doctors that he was building houses for, and they were very demanding. Like they were both, yes, entrepreneurs. However, their clients owned them.
Mm,
So they had
yeah.
essentially created really big jobs for themselves. And then on the other hand, I had people like my aunt Deb, who was like a beacon of light for me in the corporate world, and her best friend, and they were both, high up in the corporate world. One worked for Sephora, one worked for a law firm, and doing mid six figures, but working like 80-hour weeks and not being able to take care of their bodies and not being able to like balance family life. Like both of them still don't have children to this day. So
Wow.
I was kind of in this space where I'm like, whoa, entrepreneurship, corporate, none of like terrible experience. Like I don't want either of them. And I was in a point where I was very lost. I didn't know what my purpose was. I did not know what direction I was going to go in. And truly, it was one of those moments where you're kind of sitting there like, I have no idea what my life's going to look like. I have
Yeah.
no idea where it's going to go from here. But I know I don't want that. And I know I don't want that. So my soul knew that there was another way. I just didn't know what it was. And I started asking, like my soul started asking. I didn't really know about manifestation too much or how to communicate with source at that point, but I was asking. You guys know those moments where things are interesting in life and you're sitting in your car and you're like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Help me. Like, if you're real, just tell me what it is. Like, where do I go? And so I was asking verbally in my car by myself. I was asking as I was falling asleep at night, just saying, what is it? What is it? Where am I going to go? What's my purpose? What's my direction? And it was at that point in time where I was working for my dad as his assistant, which was not ideal for me. It was a huge ego hit for me. I did not want to be daddy's little assistant. Okay. That was so embarrassing for a girl that had a 4-year degree and didn't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
However, it was perfect. Like it didn't make sense to my soul, but I knew that he had experience that I needed. He knew things that I had to get around. And he was the closest thing to me that I could kind of learn from and grow into that was like available and easy to step into. So I became his assistant. And by the grace of God, but we all know that there's reasons for everything, we started working with Bob Proctor. If any of you are familiar, he was in the movie The Secret. He spent, God, 60 years until his last days, which was this past year he just passed, studying the mind and wealth development. And we were at a conference for network marketing. And Bob started speaking on stage about the science of the mind and wealth building and how to co create your dream life. And I thought it was baloney. I was like, this is woo woo. This is not real. There's no way. I don't like this is for them. They can do it. I can't do it. And I liked it, but I wasn't ready to like really lean into it. Nonetheless, my dad, this is how funny things work, guys. The universe is always working for you because we're always asking. My dad's wife at the time became a consultant for Bob Proctor, and my dad started helping her with the business, and I was their assistant. Long story long, they ended up getting divorced. Okay, this is how crazy the universe can make things come together for you. They ended up getting divorced, and my dad took over the business as a consultant for Bob. And I was their assistant and had created the whole back end of the company on social media. I was younger, so like I was in social media, I was doing graphics for them, I was doing all the things, and I became his partner in business. And I fell in love with this material only because I had finally said, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to personally transform myself so that I'm a walking billboard for this information. And
Yeah.
so I started studying the content. I started eating it up. I lived and breathed it. Like I watched videos of Bob and the programs that I was in every day. I was such a like I was a student, okay? And it got to a point where we had co-created this multi-million-dollar business together. And we were doing anywhere from 4 to 5 million a year together, 3 years into being partners. And this is where it gets funny. This is where it gets fun. I had reached a point where I didn't feel like I was playing the game of life. It didn't feel like I was really in the game. And
Yeah.
there was people on here who can relate to that. You're living life, you're going through life, but there's something in you that's like, I'm not really in it. Like I haven't really been initiated into this thing yet. I'm not seeing all the sides of myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I started to tap into I need to leap. There's a leap coming. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. I started noticing I didn't like showing up to the team meetings. I started noticing there was different ways that I wanted to run a business. We had different visions. We started slowly getting pulled apart just by desire. We started wanting different things. He wanted a big sales team. I didn't. He wanted a global, huge, humongous business with like tens of thousands of people under his company. I didn't. I wanted a small team with big impacts. So
Yeah.
through desire, we started going like this. Now, mind you, this is at a point where I'm already doing what I love. I'm in personal development. I'm helping people understand their mind to manifest their dreams. I'm doing the thing that I love to do, but I start to not like how I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, crap. It's one of those things, Christy, where you're like, I think I'm gonna do it, but I'm scared. I don't know if I can. Because
Yeah.
there's so much like logic that comes into your mind, which is you're doing what you love, just be happy. You're you're
Mm,
you're earning millions of dollars, just be happy. Just be
totally.
happy. You've got it. And that wasn't enough for my soul. And
Totally.
so I ended up having the same handshaking conversation with my dad. I was bawling, he was not. I was a mess, he was not. And I was like, "Are you gonna be okay if I leave? You know, are you gonna be mad at me?" You know? And I just knew, I just knew. There was enough contrast that kept coming up where I just didn't even want to show up for the meetings. I started not even loving what I loved to do because
Yeah.
of how I was doing it. And I knew that if I was going to be really proud of myself and if I was really going to feel like I was playing the game of life, that I would have my own company and I would have my own outlet of expression. So,
Yeah.
created the Madison Rose brand and we leapt.
I love this so, 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 so much. And so after creating your brand, what did you experience in terms of that alignment and that just like confirmation that you took the right steps, even though it was terrifying?
It was terrifying, guys, because the money was there. The passion of doing what I loved was there. The only element that was missing was I had a I had a it's a word, Christy, like I had a buffer. I
Mm,
had something between me and God, and that was my dad.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Instead of asking God, I would ask my business partner, who was also my father.
Yeah.
And so my line to source was because I was, and that's why I felt like I wasn't playing the game because I had this thing. And guys, that thing could be your boss, your dad, your partner. It could be the government for you. It could be like whatever the thing is that you're leaning on for your life source, for your to affirm the life that you're living is likely your buffer to
Yeah.
co-create with God. So I will tell you that I didn't experience confirmation right away, except for the feeling in my body.
Yes.
I was like, okay, we're doing this. Here we go. Oh my gosh. I ordered a mug with the Madison Rose brand name on the mug just to have, like, before I even created my LLC, just to sit on my desk and just to look at it. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. It's real. I created my business name. And then because I had so much excitement and so much energetic alignment, guys, and this is not typical results, but it's not impossible. My first month in business ended up being a six-figure sales month. Not cash, there's a difference, six-figure sales month. And that for me was like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. And that doesn't mean that that didn't come, it wasn't six figures every month after that. I, like Christy, created the same environment that I leapt away from 2 months into my own business. I brought on a sales team. I hired in these masculine men with all these strategies and Facebook ads, and I started paying people out 5 figures a month to work for me. And I accumulated all of these expenses and things that I didn't need and not things that helped me earn the six-figure sales month in the first place because my programming hadn't caught up with my decision. And so I co-created the same mess for myself that I leapt away from. And I think this is really important to talk about because Krista, you mentioned the same thing that you experienced as well. You're like, whoa, wait, I'm creating the same thing that I kind of escaped or didn't want. And ended up again leaping again. Like there's a theme, guys, it never ends. Like you don't make one leap and then it's done. It's like this initiation, as Christy and I were calling it on our phone call together. It's this initiation to keep following spirit and to keep going. So I burned my business to the ground. I let go of everybody. I got rid of my sales team. I let go of the people that I paid, high five figures to help me create systems for my business that I didn't even use a system to achieve in the first place. I let go of everything. And then it was just me and my assistant again. And I was like, okay, I know I can do it. I know the money's there. I know that I have the energetic capacity to do this. Now I need to anchor myself in doing this in a way that I truly love. And that's where aligned business strategy came into play. And that's where, I started getting really deep into, energetics with strategy of like, okay, which ones feel the best for me? Which ones work for Maddie? So.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that so, so much. And excuse the noise. My partner is a music teacher, so you guys can probably hear people singing in the background.
You can't hear it.
Perfect. But I really, really, really love this point you were making about the buffer, because that's such a huge piece of what came in for both of us. And my buffer was logic. My buffer was my own mind and my own ego. I love logic and I love looking at like what's logically going to happen. And what looked logical was the sameness for me. And also, yeah, it's like the people I was surrounded with, I really had to brainwash myself into believing in myself, and that was such a huge piece of everything that took me to the leap. But also want to talk a little bit more of how you transitioned from that feeling of this is only for them to this is actually for me too, because that was a really hard transition for me in terms of I believed that other people were more capable than me. I believed that other people could do this and I was different, that they had opportunities that I couldn't get, or I couldn't do it. I was just Christy and they were them.
Yep, I do know. I do know. Everyone that's listening to this, I want you to really hear this point that we're making right now. We both at one point thought it's just for them. It's just for them. It's not for little Maddie Rose. It's not for little Christy Avis. It's just for them. And after I heard that time and time and time again of people saying exactly what we just said to y'all, which is I thought it was just for them until I didn't. I thought it was just for them until I believed. I thought it was just for them until. I started hearing that so many times repetitively, and I was like, you know what? They're all telling me that at one point in their life, they had the same fear and limiting beliefs that I do right now. And so that was one of it. That was one point of it. Like, and then I started seeing these people that I'm like, well, this person's all like not all that like special. Like they're just a human. They're just like me, They didn't even graduate high school or whatever it may be. I'm like, they're a human being with a mind that can create. And so there was the theme of seeing it over and over and over again, the personal development world, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, um, Oprah Winfrey, like Grant Cardone, like everyone has these stories that you're like, oh, you were once where I am. So if you were once here and now you're there, maybe I can be there too. And then the second part of it was I had gone through a course with Bob Proctor called Thinking into Results. And we started the program. It's a transformational program. It's amazing. It was the first thing I ever did in personal development. And when we were in that program, the people that started that program with me took it very seriously. But I knew a lot of them. And in 6 months, I was like, what? People had lost weight, people had started businesses, people had moved across the state, people had attracted their soulmates, like done all of these crazy things. just taking it seriously and believing in themselves. And I was like, what if I had just taken it seriously? What if I had just believed in myself? If they can do it, what the hell? Like, I can fucking do this. So it
Totally.
was all of those things like coming together. Um, and then it was the question, which was, if I die, am I going to wish that I did?
Mm.
If I die tomorrow, next week, and I'm on the other side of life, am I gonna wish that I leapt? And that honestly, until right now, I totally forgot, guys. That is the thing that caused me to leap in the first place. That is the one question that caused me to finally say, I'm done, I need to do this. Because I knew that if I died next week, I'd be mad at myself for not trying. You can always go back, but you can't always come back after death. Not that I know of. So it was a combination of those things, you know?
That is, yeah, that's freaking huge. And, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because recalling my story, that's a question I started to ask myself too. I was like, if this is my one chance, if this is my one opportunity, I would be more proud of myself for trying and failing than not trying at all.
Exactly.
And I remember talking to so many coworkers, and this is something that like brought so much pain around. Like, they told me what they were going to do. They told me they were going to become musicians. They said they wanted out of their jobs. They said, and I noticed I said the same things, and I was like, but what's changing here? We kept having these conversations about our big dreams, and I saw so few people going for it, and I was like, can we even go for it? Like, maybe it's not even possible. Maybe these are just dreams. But I was like, if they can do it, like people like Bob Proctor, people like I don't even know, like some of the top coaches in the industry, Melanie Ann Lair, if these people can go for it and they can have these experiences and we're all just human, then I would be more proud if I failed, you know? And that kind of gave me this playfulness with life where it felt very serious. My ego told me, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die, no matter what. I
Your
was
life
going
is over.
to every single time, you're going to die. But that question, and I love that you brought that up, is like, if this is my shot, am I going to take it?
One.
Mm.
One shot. Like I keep saying this to you guys, but Chrissy and I have both been in the shoes that you're in. And I want you to really anchor into this conversation right now because on an emotional, like in an emotional way, like okay, if we bring emotion into this, we don't know if we have another shot. We don't know if we've got another round at this thing. And so if you can ask yourself right now, if next week was my last week, would I be on the other side and say, I wish I had just tried? I wish I had just leapt. What's the worst that's gonna happen? You end up on the street? There's really hot states, guys. I mean, you'd be fine. You'd be fine. It's okay. You would be fine. And that was the point that I got to. Chrissy was like, I'm doing, what did you say, Chris? You're like, I'm doing this, or you're
Or
like,
I'm gonna die. I got to the point where I was like, I'm doing this, or I'm gonna die. Or if I don't do this, I die. If I do this and end up on the side of the street in a box, that's better than my current reality.
then not knowing as well. Then not knowing. Like for me, I felt like, excuse me, I felt like my spirit wasn't playing.
Mm.
I felt like my human was controlling my life and my spirit was taking a back seat. You know, I felt like my human was listening to all of the societal things, do this, then do this, then do this, and don't leave because the money's not going to be there and you have to save all this money in order to do this. And at some point I said, no, like no, like you have to understand that 90% of our world is plugged into a system, and it's not a system that our souls created. It's a system that our human selves created. It's a system that mankind created, and our souls scream to get out of it and create their own systems. Rightfully so, because we're all here, I believe, to do really big things.
I truly believe that as well. And I think that that is the definition of settling, where we listen to the human more than the soul. And the soul continues to scream and we just continue to listen to the human. That's what in my physical system feels like settling.
Mm-hmm. And even that, like that word settling, like that, I don't know about you guys, but that word terrified me.
Whew, so scared.
Like, like, God, let me be broke on the streets, but God, don't let me settle. Like whatever. I'm willing to do the things. And another thing that I want to say as we're in this space together, how cool do you want your story to be? You know? Like I got so excited about creating my story. Like
Yeah.
every hard thing that I went through after the leap was like my story that I was creating. No one else had their hands in my story anymore. It was just Maddie. And it
Yeah.
was like, what's the story that I want to create? What's the story that I want to tell when I'm on stage in front of millions? What's not maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands? What's the story?
Billions.
We don't have an arena that big yet, but we do have virtual stages. What's your story? Like get excited about your story. I hated telling the story that I was daddy's assistant, guys. I hated that story. My soul hated that story when that was my only story.
Yeah.
I was like, I want a ride. I want to ride. I want to ride. I want to go. I want to feel. I want to experience. I want to have hard times. I want to have amazing times. And Christy and I both agreed that in our call together, until we both made the leap, we can agree right now, like you don't know yourself.
You don't.
You don't
Ooh.
know yourself. And that's not a scare tactic. And that's not to say if you don't leap, you're doomed, guys. It's to say that you're here for a reason on this call today.
Yeah.
And you want to know yourself on a deeper level. Your soul's crying to know itself on a deeper level. And
Truly.
leaping is the way that you build that relationship with your soul. You know?
Truly.
I could
Truly.
go on.
This is amazing. And 100,000%. Before I took the leap, I believed that I was small. I believed
Mhm.
that I had to people please. I believed that Christy wasn't capable. And I just felt so limited and so small. And I remember the admiration I had for people who would say exactly what they wanted or set powerful boundaries or just stand in their ability to say exactly what they wanted. And I was like,
Mm.
I could feel that resonance, but I was like, that will never be me.
Mm.
And now it's like, I know myself to be powerful. I know myself to be capable. I know that if all of this fell apart, I would be okay and be able to do it again.
Yes. Yes. Okay, that. Like the other day, literally, I just said this the other day. I'm like, someone could strip away everything from me and put me in the middle of Africa and I'd figure it out. We'd figure it out. Like we would create a business in Africa, whatever. I don't know. And that, guys, like when no one can take anything away from you that would make you feel like you lost it all, what is there to fear at that point? Right? What is there to fear? You can take all the things away from me. I love all the things that I have, God. I don't need to learn this lesson, but you can take all the things away from me, right? And I know I would be okay. I know we know we've got this, right? We've got it.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. You know what you bring to the table. You know your worth. You know that you're bold. You know that you can. You know that you're worthy in a room of billionaires. You just know. You know that you have a voice. You know that it matters. Um, so Christy, I wanna go into your aftermath of when after you leapt and you had that baseline. Like talk to them about the difference that you felt because I don't want to give a false perception that once you leap like magic unicorns and rainbows come through the doors and there's all the things. So what was the reality of the good, like what was the reality of the ebbs and the flows after the leap for you?
Perfect. Give me 1 second. The dog is like, I need out. So I'll be right back.
And so this is a great point, guys. Even when you have a multiple six-figure business, even when you're doing six-figure months, hello, it's not perfection. There's dogs, there's sure, and it's fine. Like you can still do it. You don't need to be perfect. I love that that just occurred.
Her too. I'm like, Luke, can you let the dog out? He's like, absolutely not. I'm in the middle. I'm like, okay, I got it. I got it. So yeah, I love that too, because perfection isn't required. And once you make the leap, you will continue to feel fear. And kind of the aftermath was I was frustrated with myself, honestly, because I was like, I wanted out of corporate and I just created my own corporate, you know? And I had these moments where it was just like, I had to leap again and again and again. I had to, even for me, setting boundaries was a leap every single time.
Mhm.
Sometimes it still is. And one of the big things is like, I really believe that when our desires are called through us, they're meant for us. And the universe isn't testing us, it's giving us the opportunity to align to that thing. And so, what I started doing is I felt intense fear for most of the leaps that I have leapt through, and even now still feel fear. But what I really started tuning into was this energy of, if I'm meant to leap, then that action is called through me because I'm meant for it. So this isn't the universe testing me. This is part of the process of me getting there. And
Mhm.
that gave me this deeper level of trust that the things coming up were not obstacles or blocks.
Or
And
signs
that,
that it's not meant for you.
yeah, they're actually signs that it is meant for you, right? It's the clearing, it's the aligning, it's the power to hold. And
Mhm.
so one of the huge portals that came up for me after, because I had the portals with like feeling like I needed to burn things to the ground, just having misalignment and having to restructure my business. Those moments were so scary. Literally transitioning into from only a human design coach into an energetics and strategy. I really believed that when I did that, everything was going to fall apart. But one of the biggest portals that came through for me after really quitting my job was the portal of my relationship no longer being aligned.
Mm.
And that was scary because I remember talking to the universe, and I had been, yeah, pretty much at 5 to 10K months, and I really wanted 20K, and I kept trying and pushing and it wasn't working. It wasn't dropping in. And I was like, I had this moment where I was like, you know what? If how didn't matter, universe, what do you need from me? And it was like, look at all the areas where you're misaligned. And what had happened is me and my last partner, we got along great, but we had that separating in desires where I had continued to go for it and go and just like become a completely different person. And he was choosing a different reality, a reality that was no longer aligned with mine. Right. And I felt the energy of like, you're going to have to be brave and leave this relationship. And I did not do it. I heard the call and I was like, absolutely not. And then I had this moment where I was like, if I am willing to, and I was coaching a client and it was like, you have to be brave. And I heard the universe after I had this conversation with this client, and I was like, I'm not being brave. And it was such a moment where it was like, if I am truly going to align to my human design and my sacral is going to tell me what to do and I'm not going to listen, can I even do this? Can I even teach people this?
Mhm.
And so I had that moment where I was like, I need to be brave. And I had just invested in a mastermind that I literally had to talk to my partner about and say, like, hey, we may not be okay. We may die, but I really know that I'm meant to do this. And he said, I'll help you financially. Well, what happened is we separated and it was very mutual and it was just super beautiful. But at the same time, the entirety of the mastermind payments fell on me. The rent became mine. Everything became mine. And I was so scared. I was so scared. I like I could cry because I could feel the emotion of I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to be homeless. Come in. And I had this moment where I just decided I was going to go for it. I was scared. I thought I was going to die, but I decided I'm not bowing down. and I'm just going to continue to go for it. And so many of my leaps have felt like that, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, there's no choice. There's no choice.
Oh my God. That is so good. That is so good.
It was scary.
It
It
is.
was scary.
It
And
is scary.
I was engaged to him. Like we were going to get married, and it felt so scary. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. It is scary. And I I think like listening to I don't want you guys to think that you have like it has to be that scary
No.
because I too have had scary moments where it's like, huh, I could go that way or I could go that way.
Yeah.
Which way are we gonna go? Um, I don't want you to think that it's that scary. I don't want you to think that it's going to be this like, ah.
Not
However,
every time. Sometimes,
as you're listening to Christy's story, doesn't it call something out of you? It's like, ooh, I want to play. I want to know. I want to have a story. You know, like her story is beautiful and it's the highs and she's living life. And that is what I used to listen to before I had leapt myself and be like, I want that. I want to feel what it's like to make the decision that I'm only going up.
yeah.
And when you call big things out of life, as Chrissy so beautifully said, you end up opening up portals, experiences. I call them sourced experiences that come across your lifetime. And you're like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. This is not what I've been manifesting. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you're being, like, I like to think of like a rock in a tumbler. Like you're just being smooth and your edges are being rounded and you're just being perfectly prepared for the exact thing that you're asking for.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's going to be all unicorns and rainbows, but it will mean that you will, hate to be morbid, you will croak thinking, I played.
You
If
look.
anything, I fucking played. I played full out. And that
Yeah,
to me, and I know that to you, is worth more than living a safe life.
totally. And I want to talk about the other side of that too, because on the other side of the leap, there's scary moments, and there's scary moments when you're leaping. But I can tell you guys that there's so many moments where you just anchor in and you're like, holy shit, I'm so proud of myself.
You discover a power within that you have never, I won't say never, I had never experienced in my life. And my moment in that, Christy, was I actually had depression creep up on me, depression and anxiety creep up on me after I had leapt into my own business, you guys. And the reason why it crept up is because I was teetering on this seesaw of, am I going to go back? Am I going to go forward? Am I going to go back? Am I going to go forward? Am I going to have to hit a rock bottom or am I going to go up from here? And
Mm,
those mix of chaotic thoughts created this very chaotic feeling in my body, which led into manifested into anxiety and depression to a point where I was like, it'd be easier to croak right now. It'd be easier not to be here right now. Like this is feels really hard for me. And I had like lots of times of that. And there was this one point where I was in my bed and I was having one of those moments and this like godly just message came over me and was like, it's your choice. Like, it's your choice. It's your choice if you want to hit rock bottom. It's your choice if you want to go up from here. It's your choice, but it's a choice. And you've got to make that choice. And from that moment on, I was like in it. So some of you on here, like you may have leapt, but you may still be teetering in your mind of, am I going back? Am I going forward? Am I going back? Am I going forward? And that can kill, that can kill you. So you may have made the decision on paper, or you may have made the LLC, but now your mind's going like this. And you've got to get your whole body, mind, and spirit into that decision. You've got to get your whole mind, body, and spirit on board with the leap in order to step into the magic that's waiting for you on the other side. But as long as you're teetering, it's like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of
Yeah, been there.
that. Full send.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that so much. And one of the questions I want you guys to consider when you're in that teetering is like, what what would you do if future you said it was all going to work out?
Uh-huh.
What would you do if future you said it was all okay? Because sometimes we just don't have that perspective in the moment where we're teetering or where we're in big fear or when we know our soul is calling us towards more and we may know what more looks like. We may know the move we want to make, or we may be just knowing that there's a leap coming and we have no clarity as to what that is. If future you says it's all okay, what move would you make?
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. I think this is a beautiful spot to start sharing about what we're creating and
So
what we're
excited.
moving into together. Um, if you guys have gotten all the value you want and you want to hear nothing about the LEAP program, you can absolutely go. We love you so much. But if you would like to know and stay and hang out with us and learn more about what we're going to be bringing into the world together, we're going to transition to talking about that now. So, Christy, do you want to kind of introduce the
Yeah.
dynamic?
So I'm so excited because the dog needs in. Give me 2.5 seconds.
I promise. Well, I can't make any promises. This may happen in the programs. You're getting a little taste. But you guys, you can feel the alignment. Like Christy and I did not know each other before this
We
at
did not.
all. Like not at all. This is actually the first time we've ever been on a Zoom together speaking. Okay? This program, the Leap, is going to be a transmission. Maybe that happens one time because of the place and the alignment that we're in right now and the energy that we both feel right now and our timing in life right now. This may be a one time conversation. And so, Christy, if you want to go into the kind of the breakdown of what that's going to entail.
Yeah, so the leap really is it's a self-actualization.
Hmm.
And that's really why we created this is had so many points where we took the leap and now we know ourselves and we've self-actualized and there's more self-actualization to happen, but that's really what was called through us is what we want to help you do and help people do is hit this point where it's just like I'm going to be okay no matter what and I'm here to live this life to the fullest, right? I'm here to go all in. I'm here to create my own reality. And that's really what the leap is going to be is this. And I really love it because it's a transmission, right? You're going to learn different things. You're going to learn pieces of subconscious reprogramming. You're going to learn the tools that are going to help you, the things that we wished we had known when it was time for us to make our big leaps and to continue to make those leaps. But what I really love about this is it's a transmission. It's meant to activate you in the same way that you were activated in this call today. It's meant to draw that piece where you're not going to learn a 3-step process for making the leap. You're going to learn how to work with your fear. You're going to learn how to be that next level version of yourself. You're going to be activated into that, not just through your mind, but energetically.
Mm-hmm. I think the conviction, Christy and I both wish we had something like this to walk us through the leap.
Yeah.
I think the conviction that you will feel in your mind, body, and soul going through the program with us is going to be unlike you've ever experienced because we're both speaking from experience. We're going to share stories with you. We're going to share the bad, the good, the ugly, the pretty. We're going to share what we really did to help ourselves move through that fear. Like, how do you actually move through that fear when it feels like you can't keep going, when it feels like you can't see where to go or how to get there? We're going to talk about the energetics of that. We're going to talk about how to get your mind on board because, as we know, you can make the decision, but if you're like me and you teeter, you can create scary things, right? So I believe I experienced that to help others not experience that. And the same with Christy. She created corporate all over again for herself, and will help you understand how to not do that.
Ah,
So we're going to be speaking from experience. It's not going to be, like she said, a 3-step, like do this, now do this, now do this, now do this. It's going to be an energetic transmission in which you feel the reality and the energy of what it's like to leap in life. And this program, I believe, will transcend time with you. It will not be a program that you leave and you're like, okay, everything's done, everything's here. It will be a program that I think you will revisit for the rest of your life. I think
Truly.
I will rewatch this program myself after we do it because it's a recurring theme in life, you guys. The leap is never over. And so the energy and the belief that's going to seed inside this program for you that will activate you every single time you watch it, I think you'll want to revisit it again and again and again and again. Um,
Truly.
yeah. So
Truly.
whether you have already leapt and you're meh, and you want to know how to really walk through that and own that through the fear, through the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things, how to own it and manifest your desires on the other side. Or if you're still in corporate and you're wanting to make this leap, but you don't know how to walk through it, it's going to be brilliant for either archetype.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And it's really about like moving into where you could be, right? It's really about who you can be on the other end of this. And that's a huge piece of what we're going to be teaching and what we're going to be going through is activating that next level version within you. Because like Madison said, this is work that is going to become you for the rest of your life. Right. And this is something I'm definitely going to rewatch as I go into these pieces as well, as like that activation of can I move through the fear? Can I take this brave action? Can I reach that point of self-actualization? And it really doesn't matter where you're at, but if you are the woman who is asking for big things, this is going to help you get there. Because if you ask for big things, there will be big power portals. There will be big leaps that are called through you. Can you really believe in yourself in those moments? Can you really take the action being called through you in those moments? And that's what this is for. Because as you ask for big things, the universe is like, yes, let's do this. The let's do this is our job. That's our part.
And almost all of you are probably in some kind of personal development program of some sort if you're here. And so I know for myself, there was a time where I listened and listened and listened and attained and attained and attained knowledge, but I wasn't in the game, right? I wasn't making those interesting, hard decisions to really step out and go and do it. And this program is going to help you take the things that you know, the reality that you know you want, everything on your vision board or all the things, and actually teach you how to walk through it in life. So the way that we've broken it down, the way that we think it will be the best received by you guys is it's going to be broken up into 4 parts, okay? And they're going to be transmissions similar to this, where we're going to have a conversation. You guys are going to be in it with us. You guys are going to be asking questions. You will be heard. Your voice will be heard in every single module. And we're just going to go deep into the buckets that we feel. Do we want to share the buckets or do you want to make them a secret?
We can share the buckets. I feel
You want
like they want to know the buckets.
to,
I would
want to
want
share the buckets? I would want to know the buckets. I'd be like, what are the buckets?
buckets.
There's 4
Yes.
buckets.
Yep. There is 4 buckets. There's 4 things we're really going to go into with you. So we're going to be kind of going through the difference between intuition and guidance and really moving through those pieces. We're going to be going through limiting beliefs and the things that are coming up for you in terms of that subconscious reprogramming, because a lot of us are trying to fight our subconscious with our conscious. And it's this battle that Madison was talking about of like, I can't. New world, old world, move forward, go back. It's that battle that we want to help you guys transcend so it doesn't feel so hard, right? And then also a huge piece is we're going to be going into the actual reprogramming, right? Because we want to teach you how to actually become this version of yourself, to feel it within your soul, to feel that activation within you. And it's really you getting on board with your new self, right? And building up the belief that you can do it, because it's like that is the piece where we actually take the action. And that is the 4th piece, is actually going into the action, what that brave action looks like, and staying in the energetic frequency of what you are desiring to create. And this is like for any big leap, you guys. it's for anything that you're wanting to do, whether you're wanting to move from corporate into a business, whether you're wanting to take your business to 10K months to 100K months. It doesn't matter. If you're ready to leap in terms of believing in yourself, in terms of starting that creative project that you've been wanting to start for forever, of stepping into being an artist, a musician, right? It's all of these different pieces, stepping into believing that you can create the relationship that you desire. The leap is not limited to any type of person. This is limited to the person who's ready to believe in themselves and go into that next level version, who knows there's more for her.
I'm so excited. Um, okay, so are those did we say all the buckets?
I think we said all the buckets. I got 4 buckets.
Okay, you
You,
guys
if
got
you
the
want to
bucket.
add anything to the buckets, that's amazing.
No, there may be surprises just because you guys can see how we vibe. So there may be things where during this program we're like, oh my gosh, they need to know this. Like we feel in our bones that you guys need to know something. We're going to allow spirit to work through both of us and literally deliver to you what we feel and what we receive to be the best catalyst for you in taking leaps in your lifetime. So we've got 4 buckets. It's over the course of 2 weeks. There are dates that you will find out on the landing page that we'll post in the chat, and you'll also get emailed the dates. You'll have the replays for a lifetime. So you'll always have the replays. This is something that you will watch over and over and over again. I just know it. So you will have this for the rest of your life. We wanted to make it super easy. You have the live transmissions for live calls. We're going to do them intimately on a Zoom like this. It's going to be held in a yummy Facebook portal for you guys, so you guys can have community support in your leaps. Okay, you guys are all going to be coming from this same foundation of what it is to leap, and you're going to have the catalyst to help you go through that, plus the community of women in this Facebook group that will be in there for a lifetime, so that when you're about to leap, you can say, I'm about to leap, send me all the good vibes. And you can support each other in leaping time and time and time again. Am I missing anything, love?
I think that it's incredible. We do have an early bird special for you guys, and I posted the first link without the HTTPS, so click the second one if you want the link, and we'll also be sending that to you guys in the recording, because you guys do get the recording access, so you guys can go into it and look at all of the details. But we do have a really special offer for you guys for the next 48 hours. So that is going to be, let me pull it up. It's 555. And then after that, it is going to go to 777. So you guys do get lifetime access. There's also a payment plan of 2 payments for 277. We wanted to make this like so no brainer for you guys to just like, after hearing all of the things that are in it, after hearing the energetic transmission that you heard today, after hearing where you could be and feeling it within your body, we want you to feel that price and just be like, yes, I'm in. No questions asked. We want it to feel like, this is part of my leap. Right. And so after the 48 hours, it's going to go up to 777. So if you're feeling the pull, we would absolutely freaking love to have you.
Yes. We would love to have you, and I'm so excited to see all of the magical humans that join us, because joining this program is the initiation to leaping. Like it is your yes to your leap. It's your yes to yourself. It's your yes to the leaping of throughout lifetime and time again. So you just saying yes to this, the reason why we wanted to incorporate a 48-hour or a 24-hour, we moved it to 48, was because we want this program to represent what it is like to leap for you guys. We want you to know the feeling of what it's like to have an idea, to trust yourself, and to move, and then to hold that energy through the program. This program will give you, I believe, exactly what it is that you're seeking. In some way, whatever it is that you're asking for, you will hear it in this program. Because like Christy was saying, this isn't just for corporate. This isn't just for relationships. This isn't just for business. This is all the things. Anytime in life when you feel like, ooh, now what? This program is the now what. And it's going to be incredible.
Going
So
to be incredible.
yes. So yes, it's 2 weeks, 4 calls. Early bird pricing, guys, is $555, just to review. And then there's a payment plan as well. Yay, Tammy, you're in.
I'm so
So
excited.
excited.
Yay.
So there is a payment plan for both early bird and full price. Early bird will be available for the next 48 hours, so roughly 2 days. Okay, so not tomorrow, but the next day around 1 p.m. Early bird will end and the price will go up to $777. Okay.
We are so excited. We are
How many
so
people
excited.
are we allowing in?
Ooh, how many people are we allowing in? Whoever's called.
So what's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
funny is the Zoom. Do we have a Zoom?
Yeah, so Zoom has a maximum of 100 people. And so we're really just calling in whoever's aligned. We're really trusting source. We're really trusting the universe with this is we really know that whoever's called to be here, that you're going to get exactly what you need. Right. And that's kind of the energy we have when it comes to how many people is like, you're going to get what you need if you feel the pull.
Yes. This was truly not how do I say this? This program is bigger than both of us.
It really is.
I'll just say it like that. It's bigger than both of us. And I think you said it beautifully. You know, the people that feel called to this is bigger than all of us.
It
And
truly.
yeah, I'm honored and excited to welcome you, Tammy. Congratulations, welcome. And yeah, that is all the things, guys. I hope you enjoyed this session with us. I had so much fun.
I had so much fun. So much fun. Thank
So
you all so much for taking time out on. Oh my gosh, it's like right past 11:11. I was like, oh my gosh, is it 11:11? But it's 11:14. But thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to come and be with us and listen to these stories and listen to these codes and listen to these transmissions. I really hope that whether you feel called to the leap or you just listen to this, you feel an activation within you. You feel that fire being rekindled of like, ooh, I notice where I've been settling, or I'm actually ready to go for it. Right. Any pieces within you that feel like you're settling, I want you to know that we've had the same fears. Everybody who's done this has had the same fears of, can I actually do this? Is this really meant for me? It's meant for them, but not for me. And we're here to say, like, if you desire it, it is meant for you because you are the universe, right? And if a desire is called through you, it's not called through you for you to force and make it happen. And it might not happen. That desire is called through you because it is truly meant for you. And that's what I believe. And so if future you says that everything's going to work out, that everything's going to be okay, what would you do? What would you do in this lifetime?
what would future you do? Hmm. I love you guys. Thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for spending time with us. And if you're feeling called, we will see you in the leap.
I cannot wait. Can't wait to see everyone who joins.
All right,
Bye.
bye
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you so much for being here. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.